This is the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I am Robert Gatewood, your host. If it affects my stakeholders, it affects me. Over at Amazon, the bots are doing the firing. Man, they got a bot for everything now. If you have built your business model on one-off sales, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. They don't have a better product than you. They just have better marketing. Welcome to the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host, and we are live. That's right, we're back. We took a break last week. We had a lot going on, but I'd like to welcome you back to the live Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host, and we are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. Well, maybe not every day live, because last week. Tell you what happened last week. We actually we produced a show down in North Carolina for the Anson County Candidates Forum. And the people down there in North Carolina want that polished CNN-like look for their candidates. So we were able to oblige them. You can actually check it out on marketingpulpit.com, where we post all of our shows. And maybe you have a forum or some type of event where you want to give that polished look and have yourself a professional commentator or orator or a moderator. Anyway, that's one of the services that we offer here on the Marketing Pulpit TV show. Welcome again. Welcome. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. I'm a business developer by trade, and I am president and CEO of Gatewood Marketing and Web. And you can find out more about my company by going to gatewoodmarketing.com. And you can see all of the services that we offer. But you can also go to Marketing Pulpit and find out about the many shows that we've had here on this platform. And we welcome you to join us. Welcome to all of our loyal listeners, people who've been tuning in for the past 11 years. That's right. We've been doing this for a minute, and I'm glad to be able to provide this platform. We got our start over at Radio One. Thanks, Miss Kathy Hughes, who has a School of Communications over at Howard University named in her honor. And that's where the Marketing Pulpit launched back in 2010. Wow, that's a long time ago. And now we're providing this information continuously through social media, through our podcast, our TV show. You can go to marketingpulpit.com. You can also catch us on Facebook. You can catch us on Twitter. You can catch us on YouTube. And welcome to the LinkedIn family who have joined us. And thank you again. Good morning, Brother Brown, the greatest plumber in town. Thank you for joining us this morning. We got a lot to talk about today, as always. But somebody asked me the other day, they were watching the stock market go up and down. They're like, man, I got this money out here on the stock market, but I'm thinking about starting a business. I'm not sure what to do. Should I invest my money in my own company, or should I invest in the stock market? Well, I'll tell you what, folks, that may not have been the right answer. It may not have been the right question. I mean, of course, that's what you're curious about, but sometimes you have to kind of dig down a little deeper to find out exactly what it is people are trying to find out. Sometimes they really don't know what they don't know. So the question may have been, what are some ways that I can use to fund my business? Okay, when you frame the question like that, it opens up more possibilities than a narrow question like whether I should be investing in my business or the stock market, because then you kind of give it that they're mutually exclusive when indeed they're not. So later in the show, we're going to talk about some ways that you can fund your business. Now, I'm not a financial planner, but I'm a business developer. I'm a business consultant. And boy, I'll tell you, one of those things that I'm always talking about, those 4 M's, the mission, the market, the mindset, and the money. Man, the best laid plans in the world are going nowhere if you don't have some money. So we're going to talk about that. So also we're going to talk about what's happening in the news. Oh boy. The news just keeps on coming. We got more vaccination stories. We got more people going crazy out here in the workplace. We're going to talk about our war in the workplace and some of the things that people are doing. I thought things would have gotten better by now, but people are still acting the fool. Almighty. Some of the things people are doing. What is going on out here? So we're going to talk about that coming up as well. But first, I got a question for you. I have to tell you a little story. I'd like to tell you a story. I'd like to start out with a story. I heard this saying the other day, and it said, early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. Now, if you have been following the show, you've noticed that I've been challenging a lot of the conventional wisdoms as of late, like fake it till you make it and bird in the hand and a few others. If you're the smartest person in the room, should you run out of the room? Well, this one now, I must say, this one may have hit the mark. Early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. Now, of course, now I'm going to give a little context because early to bed, early to rise, that might depend on how you interpret early to bed. Some people say early to bed means going to bed at 9 o'clock at night, but if you have to go to work at 9 o'clock, that's going to be a little impossible. You might do it, but it's going to be hard. Also, and plus there's one thing about that quote that I must say that it may be a little more, what's a better word to say? It might be a little insensitive to people of different sexual orientations because it does say early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. So I'm just going to assume that they meant mankind or all people because back in the day, boy, they didn't really give a hoot about what women thought. Don't even talk about other sexual orientations. So I'm going to, but that aside, let's assume we're talking about everybody, not just men. But early to bed, early to rise, to me means that if you want to be your absolute best self, if you want health, if you want wealth, and if you want wisdom, without complicating the matters, you need some rest. Let me tell you something, folks. As I got a little older and a little longer in the tooth, I'm realizing the value of getting some rest. It's like a carpenter. He has to sharpen his tools every now and then. You just can't keep running and burning the midnight oil and expect to be your absolute best. It's just not going to happen. So I think they attribute this quote to Benjamin Franklin, the guy that flew the kites and out there in the weather with the kite and doing lightning, trying to just figure out how electricity works. But whoever said it, I'm going to give them some props. Ladies and gentlemen, and even you young people, and of course, an old head like me, we need our rest. We'll just be walking down the street and just fall over and go to sleep. But even you younger people, you have to find time to rejuvenate. You can't just keep running and running and running. You're saying if I just spend a little more time, if I can just add another hour here, I'm going to sleep through the night. I'm going to stay up all night and not get my sleep. Let me tell you something. Folks, all kind of ills that you have not attributed to lack of sleep could be attributed to lack of sleep. Did you know that your eyes actually can dry out? You wake up in the morning, you got the gritty eye, and it's because you didn't close those eyes. They didn't get the moisture that it takes during the night when you're sleeping, and all kind of issues. So it doesn't have to be a dry eye. It could be anything. It could be lack of attention. It could be overstress. It could be bad eating habits. A lot of those things are attributed to not getting your rest. So whoever said it, whether it's Benjamin Franklin or Benjamin Banneker or Benjamin Bottoms, you got to get your rest, ladies and gentlemen. Early to bed, early to rise makes that man, woman, child, whoever, whatever your orientation, healthy, wealthy, and wise. And that's my thought for today. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick break. I'd like to welcome everybody. Thank you again for joining us. Mr. Richard Miles of the Minor Football League. They're trying to go up into Africa and do some great things. So thank you again for joining us. Thank you, Manny, out of North Carolina. Got North Carolina in the house. We got folks from all over the place, by the way. I'm going to tell you that. We have people listening from Africa, from California, from New Jersey, from Texas, from Florida. The reason I know, because they're telling me. Now, there's some of the messages we put up on the board, but some people that are listening, they don't put the message up on the board, but they might email me personally, some DM me, and boy, I tell you, one thing about putting your face out here, people will contact you. They'll let you know, and they'll let you know if they agree with you too. So that's okay. I'm a big boy. I can take it. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about what's happening in the news, and you don't want to miss this. Boy, the news. Man, I'm telling you, life is better than fiction. You don't have to turn on these. You don't have to turn into these Lifetime movies and all that kind of stuff anymore. Man, news is better than any of that stuff. You can just turn on the news and get you a good bag of popcorn and some coffee or whatever, and just sit there and go through the news. But you know what I realized also, ladies and gentlemen? I was watching the election the other night, And I realized that, man, you have to take a break from that stuff too. You be sitting there, your candidate's not winning, you stressed all out, sitting there staring at the screen all night, and then you wake up the next morning, you think the world's gonna come to an end because your candidate didn't win, but you realize not much changed. Nothing changed at all. You still had your job, you still had your house, you had your money in the bank, you were still healthy, you got your rest like you did healthy, wealthy, and wise, but sometimes you gotta take a break. I mean, yes, you want your candidate to win. You have issues. You want to support to make sure that people are not affected negatively. But sometimes I think when we're talking about that healthy, wealthy, and wisdom, we got to turn off that TV every now and then because the news, even if the news that you agree with, man, it's like Chicken Little. The sky's falling. It's all over if you don't. Anyway, we're going to take a quick break, ladies. And when we come back, we're going to talk about some of the things that are happening in the business world. And later we're going to talk about our segment, boy, in the workplace, why are people so crazy and why are people so angry? Lockdownitis, all that good stuff. So hang on for folks. This is the Marketing Pulpit TV show. We'll be back in a moment. One of those pivotal aspects of business success, you have to tie it to something, you have to ground it. Because marketing is all about psychology. It's understanding human behavior. Success is not a finite. You have control over what constitutes success. People say time is money. I say time is not money. Time is better than money. That's right. You give me some time, Jack, I'm going to make some money. But all that money in the world is not going to buy you time if you run out of it. I'm so big on this thing called time. I'm going to say that wasted time is the vanguard of failure. If you want to fail, some of you, I know it's not something you spend any time lying awake at night trying to figure out. How do I fail? But in case you do, I'm going to tell you how to do it. Waste your time. There you go. I just solved it for you. You can scratch that off your things that you didn't know about. If you want to figure out a surefire way to fail in life, in business, or in anything you set out to do, waste your time. And that'll guarantee it for you. You can tell them Gatewood told you that. All right, welcome back. Welcome back to the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host, and we are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. I am a business developer by trade. I'm also a consultant for the Small Business Administration, where we help companies in the 8A program. I'm an adjunct professor at Prince George's Community College, where we help people in the BOSS program, Business Owner Success Series. And you can go to marketingpulpit.com. And matter of fact, I have a course coming up on November 20th. And the beauty of it right now, you can catch these courses online. You don't have to come into the school. And so we've been able to, classes now, man, we used to have like 4 or 5 people. Now we get like 30 people coming in there because people can they can babysit and cook and take care of grandma and actually be at work while they're taking these courses. And I actually like that. I think we should broaden the opportunities for people to get this information, particularly when we're talking about something as valuable as marketing. Now, I also have written a couple of books. One is called Played in Full. I wrote another book called Smarter Than the Boss. So, and of course, my company is Gatewood Marketing and Web. You can find out more about me and the services that we offer. And we've been busy, ladies and gentlemen. Matter of fact, we've been so busy, and I'm not necessarily proud of this, but we've actually had to turn some people away lately. Oh my goodness, we're getting clients from every source. I mean, people from the college, people from Boyd University sending us clients. We got clients sending us clients. So what I'm trying to do is to work with the clients that we have, and the ones who, if you want to work with you, go to gatewoodmarketing.com and set up a Zoom consultation. It's free, and we can talk about it. And I can probably give you some free advice to help you get started. And if you have the right set of circumstances, and it's one of those clients that I'm sure we can help without getting too deep, because it does become a matter of, we're not a volume company, okay? We can't take 100 clients. We can take a good 20 at a time. And I'm trying to cut back on that number because I am constantly trying to improve the quality of services that we offer our clients. We have some pretty big names out here. People like Joe Madison and Neely Fuller and BLE Executive Suites, one of our sponsors. And these people need time. We can't just be 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. We got to sit down and roll up the sleeves. But I will say this. If you have the right company, and we talk about it, and you fit into our business model, there's always room for one more. So check us out anyway. Go to gatewoodmarketing.com and go ahead and schedule that free consultation. In the meantime, go to our social media platforms and get this information free. Right there on the homepage of Gatewood Marketing, we have 1-minute blurbs, just marketing tips. You can go through there and pick out the topic that you like. You can also go to YouTube. And of course, on Marketing Pulpit, we do have all of the past shows. You can go there and just scan through the library, and if there's a topic you want more information on, just click it. Social media, boom, click it. Branding, boom, there it is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks again. We're going to talk about what's happening in the news, and there is a lot. Man, I'm telling you, the news is, what they were saying, fact is better than fiction sometimes. Well, let's find out what's going on. Well, let's see here. The first thing we're going to talk about is the job market. Man, let me tell you, people, this job market is kind of funny because I think when the pandemic first hit, people were worried to death. Oh my God, I won't be able to get a job. I mean, they were just, like I said, once again, you look at the news and man, they'll have you scared to death. I tell you what, usually around election time, I just have to, I kind of have to turn the news off because, and when there's certain crises going on, it's just, I just can't, I just need my sleep. I need my rest. I don't need to be stressed 24/7. So, but anyway, people were panicking and kind of stressed out about the job numbers. Well, October, the numbers were kind of flat for September, but October, the jobs came roaring back. And what we're seeing, explosive growth in certain industries like hospitality, leisure, restaurants. They just can't get enough people. So if you're looking for a job, there's a pretty good chance you can get one. And I'm going to tell these employers, man, relax some of that crazy criteria. You got these robots out here screening people out. That robot can't tell who's going to be a good worker or not. I mean, to a degree, yes. I mean, you can tell certain personality traits and things like that. But I think at some point you got to just get down and find a way to talk to people, man. There's people out there that want to work. They want to work, but a lot of them are being screened out by some of these robots, some of this AI. So sometimes artificial intelligence isn't as intelligent as we like to tout it out to be. What else is happening here? Let's see. Companies are split on the vaccine. Man, this vaccine, boy, I tell you, that's going to be in the news every week. Corporate America is divided about President Biden's vaccination requirements, which is a requirement on larger employers, such as 100 or more people. They have to January 4th to ensure their employees are either fully vaccinated or regularly tested. And they have until December to offer paid time off for workers to get shots and paid sick leave for those who contract the virus. Well, some have heralded this advice. Some are saying, wow, right on, that's exactly what we need. Others are saying, slow your roll here. This is going to drive up costs. This is going to create logistical challenges. We're already having trouble getting drivers and other things like that. When you put these mandates in place, it's just going to make it that much harder. Well, I mean, like I said, I think a lot of this is politics. It's not that big of a deal. I think sometimes when you remove the politics. But that's what's going on. Tyson's Food, for instance, it didn't bother them. 96% of its workforce is vaccinated. And they have the boldest mandate in the corporate world as of right now. So Tyson's Food has found a way to get it done. Good morning to Brother Bradley Thomas. Thank you for joining us this morning. One of the greatest intellectual properties and entertainment attorneys in the land. Thank you for joining us this morning. And we're talking about the news here. I mean, a lot is going on. Let's see what else is happening. Let's see. I'll tell you what else is happening. What's his name? Speaking of vaccines, what's that football player name? Aaron Rodgers. Man, he's got a lot of explaining to do. I mean, it sounded like he wasn't as quite forthcoming as people expected him to be. Found out he wasn't vaccinated, but the world kind of assumed he was. He didn't come right out and say he wasn't. He said, somebody asked him in an interview, he said, yes, I'm immunized. I received immunization. He was using some type of different procedure, but wasn't the one that was approved by the NFL. And now he has COVID. And when they get ready to play the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, he won't be on the field. They're going to have to bring up some backup quarterback. And so people are kind of like, I mean, he's mad that the news leaked out. But people are kind of, he's getting a lot of heat right now. They're saying, look, if you're not going to be vaccinated, like people like Cam Newton and what's the other guy? The vacuum guy, Kirk Cousins, they just came right out. They're going through the protocol. But Aaron Rodgers kind of, I don't want to say he lied, but he was less than forthcoming. We'll leave it at that. But anyway, folks, let me tell you, you might as well, I mean, regardless of how you feel about it, you got to let people know. Okay, you can't say one thing and be doing another. That's not going to work ever. That's never going to work. So anyway, he's getting a lot of heat for that right now. Let's see what else is going on. I tell you something else has been a lot of discussion right now. Remember sick days? You got sick, you couldn't go into the office. So what does your sick day look like now when you're sitting in front of your computer? I mean, how do you tell your boss I'm sick and you're not going into the office in the first place? You're so sick you can't even get out of bed and sit in front. That's going to be tricky going forward. Now, of course, the mental health people are saying, yes, you should still, basically, if you're sick, you're sick. It doesn't matter whether you have to go into the office or not. But it was really the reason most people didn't go to work, because one, you didn't want to get up and get out there and get dressed and go out there in the elements and drive, and you might run off the road because you're taking NyQuil, and then you get to the work and you get to the job and you're infecting everybody. Well, none of those conditions apply anymore if you're working from home. So how do you call in sick from the office when you're not in the office? You can't pretend, you can't get that cough. I'm sick. I guess you can go on Zoom and they take a look at you. You look like, hell, you need to stay home. Somebody help me out here. Anyway, that's going to be, but see, these are things that people hadn't really thought about. They hadn't given a lot of thought to when you were talking about working from home. How do you stay home from work when you're already home? You say, look, I don't feel like getting out of the bed. I guess your home is not the place anymore. You got to move it a little further. You got to say the bed. Boss, I don't feel like getting to my computer this morning because I don't know. That's going to be interesting to see. They instead of calling it absenteeism, they call it presenteeism. You're not able to present. You can't put on your Zoom face, I guess. I guess you still got to put on your makeup and get your light ready. And yeah, that's some work. Shoot. Okay, let's see what else is going on. Well, job seekers they're leaving their old jobs and starting somewhere else. Many employers have left their current employers and going to seek jobs elsewhere. We knew that was coming. One, first of all, because some people just decided they're not going back to work. Then reality hit. They got to go back to work, but they said, well, if I got to go back, I'm not going back to where I was. So what we're seeing now is that many people have switched jobs. 54%. It's like better compensation as a leading factor. They're not going back to that old poorly paid job. They want something new. And because of the conditions right now of the employment, then they're probably going to be successful finding a better job. And of course, 14% also said COVID and the place where they were working might give them a high exposure. That's been a determining factor also for some people's decision not to go back to their old job. Here's a news story that's surprising to no one, but salaries are lagging behind college costs. It's getting less and less. It's getting more and more difficult now to justify the cost of college. College costs are just going up like crazy. Now it's like the average kid coming out of school right now with a bachelor's degree is making about $45,000. and they coming out of school with 200, 150, $300,000 worth of debt. Those numbers aren't adding up. College has soared 169% since 1980, the cost. Do you think salaries have increased that much? Probably not. Probably not. Woo, boy. So there's got to be some reconciling going on with these college degrees. Ice Cube said, look, I'm not getting vaccinated. Keep your $9 million. Wow. Now that's somebody who doesn't want to get vaccinated. He was offered a role in a movie. And like they say, the movie would have paid him about $9 million. And he said, basically, hell no, I'm not doing it. I guess when you don't want to get vaccinated, you don't want to get vaccinated. At least if you're Ice Cube. 9 million. I guess though it's all relative. I mean, somebody who's homeless or doesn't have a job, 9 million is like, man, they'll say stick me in every inch of my body. But if you have it like that, like so many other things in life, that's why I always have a problem with these what do you call it? These parking violations. I mean, these traffic violations. Somebody drives there, some poor single mom or single parent driving down the street and they get a $45 ticket from a speeding camera. Man, that's like lunch money. That's like milk money. That might pay for a bill. But if some jet set attorney on K Street, man, $45 is like, man, that's like a tip. So it's not a deterrent. And so that's the problem of many things in our society. So many deterrents are based on finances and money when it favors the rich. I mean, like the bail system. Good example. That should be abolished tomorrow. Tell you. Rich folk, you got $1 million bail. Okay, you put that up $1 million bail on somebody who doesn't have any money. You won't see them for a while. Anyway, that's kind of like my when I look at the Ice Cube story. So it depends. If you have that kind of money, then you can afford not to get vaccinated. But most people just don't. Let's see what else is going on in the news here. Let's see here. What we're going to do, we're going to take another break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about war in the workplace. Some of these stories that make you really want to say, what? They did what? At the drive-thru? They did what on that airplane? What did that driver? So anyway, folks, this is the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. We are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. And our sermon today, my marketing sermon today is that should you spend that money you have to buy stock, and the stock market has gone crazy this month. You own Tesla stock, it's over $1,200 a share. Should you go out and buy you some Tesla stock or some Apple or Microsoft, buy you some cryptocurrency, or should you invest that money in your business? Folks, it may be a false choice. We're going to tell you about it coming up in our sermon at the 11:15 hour as we talk about ways to fund your business. This is the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. We're here every Friday. We're going to take another quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about war in the workplace. Why are people so crazy? Don't go anywhere. We'll do it in a moment. One of those pivotal aspects of business success, you have to tie it to something, you have to ground it. Because marketing is all about psychology. It's understanding human behavior. Success is not a finite. You have control over what constitutes success. somebody came up to me and said, we were in a meeting and one of the people in the meeting said, that's right, boy, we got to fake it till we make it. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, has a nice ring to it. It's a nice quote, but really, that the hill you really want to die on? I say, why spend all this time faking it when we could actually be making it? You know what I think sometimes? I think some of these sayings and quotes came from people who have an agenda of their own. I think about the 1%ers. These guys really have a tough time sleeping at night when they think about all of the benefits that they have. And if they can sleep better knowing that if the rest of the world out here is doing well, so they look out there and they survey the land and everybody's doing well because they're faking it, then they can keep doing what they're doing. They don't have to write their chip because so many people are faking it and not making it. All right, welcome back to the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host, and we are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. Not saving souls. That was my dad. He was a bad. All right, we're back. Lost our internet for a second there. Welcome back to the show. This is the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. And we are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. Business owners, you need to be tuned in not only to this show, but to places, channels that can help you improve your knowledge of business and how to be successful. Now, we're just one platform, but there are others out there as well. And some are pretty good, I must say so myself. But you don't want to try to do this by yourself. Starting a business is hard. And you have to engage stakeholders. That's why we've done several shows on stakeholder relationships. Stakeholders are people who have a stake in your business, in your success or failure. Clients, customers, vendors, suppliers, partners, contractors, funders, all these folks that have a stake in your business. So make sure that you get connected. And one of my 10 commandments of marketing, matter of fact, number 9, is to surround yourself with people who have a stake in your success. And we call those stakeholders. Stakeholders is not a fancy name for a fork. Little joke people tell. We're going to talk about some of the things that are happening in the workplace that make you go, what in the world is going on out here? We call this war in the workplace. And why do we do it? Well, I tell you what. I started doing this segment a few months ago when things were, right after the pandemic came along and we started seeing these trends. We started seeing things that we weren't used to seeing. So much so I had to create an opening segment. Let's talk about war in the workplace. I talk about stakeholder relationships quite often. Stakeholders is anybody who has a stake in the success or failure of your business. And generally, these components, these ingredients work in concert. They support each other. We have synergy. They're like, freaking frat, working together. But every now and then, what we're seeing right now, we are seeing them come to blows, literally. And that is why we call it war in the workplace. A Mississippi man is arrested after kidnapping a Lyft driver and making her crawl into the woods and shooting her. I keep saying, now one day people are going to say, this guy Gatewood warned us a couple of years ago. I think some of these experiments we're seeing that is putting us, the community, into close proximity with people who are determined to do us harm. I think there's going to be a lessening. I think there's going to be a retraction. I think there's going to be a walking back of some of these services unless there's some better way of securing, making sure people are safe. I mean, think about it. And I'm not just trying to scare anybody out here who's doing Lyft and Uber, but you got some stranger behind you. I mean, think about in your past 15, 20 years ago, the likelihood that you want to put some stranger behind you in a car, or that you're going to jump in the car for a stranger. It wouldn't have been considered. You wouldn't have thought about it. So I'm not saying we shouldn't do it. I'm saying I think we got to go back to the drawing board. So something, is it just Lyft? I mean, maybe it's just the Lyft folks. I mean, what we got, another one out there? So Lyft. This lady, she crawled into the woods. The guy pulled a gun on her. She crawls in the woods and he shoots her multiple times. Well, let's see. Well, I just found out it's not only Lyft. Colorado Uber driver stabbed after telling juvenile customers they would not fit in his vehicle. Okay, so much for being Lyft. This driver was stabbed by a group of juveniles. There were so many of them. He said, look, I can't fit all you knuckleheads in this car. So the guy didn't like it, pull out a knife, stab the guy. Once again, I have to think about this because I know people who are doing Lyft and Uber. And I mean, really, some of these folks I just really have to pray for. I think that it's a good side hustle. It's a good way to make some money. But with COVID and this craziness that's going on out here, I tell you, I've got to keep going back to these platform providers. What else can you do to protect these workers? I know it's tough. You guys are making a lot of money. I know you're saying when you look at your balance sheet and your income statement, you all say you're not making any money yet. But you got to put safety first. You got to do more. Let me tell you something, Jack. When I take my car to the shop or I got to get somewhere in a hurry, I will call me a Lyft. I call Uber. I have a little app thing on my app. I will call that thing in a minute. I'm like, I can sit up here on the air complaining right now, but the minute they take it away, I'm like, how dare you? I was enjoying that service. So we have this constant tug between the consumer's right and desire for these services and the providers being able to provide it safely. Same thing applies to restaurants. Now, sometimes it's not the restaurant. A man was arrested for firing a gun at his father because his father went out to the chicken place and brought him back the wrong wings. Okay, over in Utah, a 30-year-old guy sent his father to buy some chicken wings. Father came back with the wrong flavor. Somehow, argument ensued. Pops ended up getting shot. Now, the police said, bless the police heart. I mean, people say defund the police, and I get the sentiment of defunding the police. I don't think the messaging is that bad, that great. I think what you want to do, I think a better message might be reform the police, or let's reallocate resources. When you say defund the police, first thing people think about is that you're going to take police or take the money from the police, and that's not it at all. But when you read some of these stories, it's hard to even use that phrase about somebody running you out of town when you think about some of the things the police have to go through. yes, we need police reform, but boy, that's not a job I want right now. The police, in this case, said they weren't sure what flavor the son was expecting when he got shot. I'm sure the police are like, all right, now what kind of flavor were you expecting? I guess he's trying to make some sense, rationalize this shooting. So I guess when he's interviewing the guy, all right, now we understand when you get the wrong chicken wings, it can be traumatizing. So what kind were you expecting? Were you expecting barbecue and you got spicy? Now, if that was the case, then we got to let you go. You're free. It's crazy, ladies and gentlemen. It's a crazy time we're living in. Welcome, Brandlita Mala. She said, you got to be safe. You got to be safe. I'm telling you, you got to be safe as passengers and as drivers. Woo! Mercy, mercy, mercy. Let's see what else is going on. We just had trick or treat. A 35-year-old Texas woman was arrested after she allegedly pointed a loaded gun at a 7-year-old trick-or-treater on her street. Let me think here. Trick-or-treating, 7 years old. Well, he wasn't 17. Sometimes you're trying to think. Worst case scenario that would make you shoot a 7-year-old trick-or-treater. Now, if he was 17, you shouldn't shoot anybody, whether they're 7, 17, or 70. But sometimes you're trying to say people aren't just totally crazy. There's got to be something in their mind that said pointing a gun at a 7-year-old trick-or-treater is the right thing to do. Maybe he was tall for his age. Maybe he was, toilet tishing her house? She didn't like his costume? Brought back bad memories. I don't get it, ladies and gentlemen. I call it lockdown-itis. People are losing their darn mind in this pandemic. A teacher in Florida, and it's not isolated to restaurants and trick-or-treaters. A teacher in Florida hit a student in the face a couple of days after being awarded Teacher of the Year. I'm sure that committee is saying, if we just waited 2 more days, we just need a little more data. Hit a teacher in the face, causing him to bleed after being honored Teacher of the Year. Now, this teacher has had some issues. She's been accused of using the N-word, of touching people. Now, this is your Teacher of the Year. I know it's tough out there getting good help. But when your Teacher of the Year is using the N-word, slapping people in the face, and touching people inappropriately, man, there might be some slim pickings. I know a lot of good teachers out here. And so why you have to pick somebody who's touching and using the N-word as Teacher of the Year? That escapes me. And I used to drive a school bus when I was 17 and 18 years old. People find it hard to believe. And school bus, they're having a hard time getting these drivers too. In Pennsylvania, a school bus driver was fired after a child slept through the bus stop. And when they're back at the garage cleaning up, you're going back through your checklist when you finish your route. All right. All lights are working, stop sign working, kids in back of bus. Well, this kid, somehow, the kid was asleep. Why did the kid sleep on the bus, first of all? What's going on at home when your kids, when I was in school, I can never remember a time when I wanted to go to sleep on a bus. Of course, that's not the offense here. The offense is that the Pennsylvania bus driver didn't see the kid until she got back to the garage. But why is a young kid, 5 years old, pre-K, going to sleep on a bus in the first place? Come on, somebody. Some of you parents out there, help me out. Do your kids go to sleep at, what is it, like 3 o'clock in the afternoon? I guess you can't get a little, we did used to have nap time now that I think about it. So I guess you can want to take a little nap, take a little doze while you drive down the street. But anyway, this driver got fired. Tell him maybe just bad, just not good help. Need some different drivers. Like I said, they're having a hard time filling these positions. And sticking with the school, I don't believe this. Kentucky high school takes action after photos showing the staff getting lap dances from students. I'm not making this up. I know you don't think I make this stuff up, right? I don't know if I even want to do this story. The staff were getting lap dances from students. And not only that, there are pictures posted on social media. Well, of course, posting it on social media was the least of your infraction, but getting a lap dance from your students, I mean, getting a lap dance from fellow teachers is egregious enough. This is so wrong on so many levels. I just can't even sort this one out. That's what I'm saying. This has got to be something that's in the air. The lockdown did this, ladies and gentlemen. I guess that's going to be the get out of jail free card for people. I had lockdown-itis. I'm giving you guys an out. I shouldn't, but I just can't believe that this is normal. There'll be something going on up here that will make you receive a lap dance from students in your school, and then somehow it gets posted on social media. Sometimes we think that maybe if we can turn into the clergy, they can save us from these Sodom and Gomorrah times that we seem to be living in, from this orgy of bad behavior. Well, that may have been the wrong word considering this next story. A pastor in Virginia is accused of solicitation of minors in a prostitution ring. All right, moving on here. I'm telling you, it's too crazy. And then the poor airlines. A Delta passenger was arrested after punching the person behind him over a seating dispute. I guess like when the person behind you, that's always been a touchy situation, even before the pandemic, if you ask me. That person behind you, they be kicking you in the back of the seat, and every time they open their tray or they take the book out or something, knees accidentally hit you, you're trying to get a nap. That can be disturbing, disruptive. But it's not worth punching somebody in the face for. And that seems to be what happened on Delta Airlines. This person was arrested. And they're locking these people up nowadays, too. Fines. Delta has a no-fly list. On American Airlines, a passenger was arrested after punching a flight attendant in the face, causing broken bones. What's going on? What is going on with people? What's wrong with you people? I know there's nobody in my listening audience. That's why I'm telling you this. So I don't want you to be that person. There's not going to be nobody in my listening audience. I know that for a fact. Let's see what else is going on. We're going to get to the end of this because we're going to talk about our sermon for the day. How do I fund my business? But let's talk about restaurants for a minute. This seems to be what seem to be having unlimited horror stories. In Pennsylvania, a woman lost her head after finding a chicken head in her order. She thought she was ordering wings. She was looking at her chicken and it was looking back at her. Oh boy. I guess there are worse things, right? There's got to be worse things than that. Like in DC. We're getting a little closer to home here. A TikToker. This guy, he was the one, I guess, that comes to the place to deliver the meat. Good old love that chicken from Popeyes. And I don't want to sound like a stereotype or a caricature. But they do have some pretty good chicken. I ain't gonna lie. Man, you get that two-piece, that white meat, that breast and a wing, and some red beans and rice. Man, I tell you can get heaven on earth. But when you think about what happened at the Popeyes restaurant in Washington, D.C., makes you want to pause. This guy, this TikToker, he was going into the restaurant. The restaurant was closed. So I guess he wanted to deliver people. And somehow he decided he was so disturbed by what was going on in that restaurant, he pulls out his camera and starts filming. He goes into the restaurant after hours. He turns on the camera. He kind of taps on the wall. And there's rats. I mean, you thought you were looking at Willard. I mean, rats running under the furniture, They're running up the pipes. I didn't know a rat could run up a wall like that, though. That was interesting. That was educational. It's like those rats, like Jedi rats. They defied gravity. They ran up the wall like gravity didn't exist. It was like one of those movies, like Lionel Richie when he was in that movie when he was going up the wall. 1 minute he'd be on this side, then the camera would go around and he'd be, I think, dancing on the ceiling. Well, these rats had a little bit of dancing on the ceiling. They must have been watching Lionel Richie's movie video. These rats were running up the wall in the Popeyes, and it's on the internet. Just go out there and type in Popeyes restaurant and rat restaurant DC, and it is really amazing. I mean, those rats are scurrying everywhere. I found out that the guy was fired. I kind of figured that was happening. It was going to happen. He probably knew it too. Not because, I mean, how do you not fire? I'm not going to take a side on this. It's just hard to, because I think he broke the trust of the restaurant. Now they shouldn't have rats running amok in their facility, but at the same time, you don't want to think that your delivery people are going to come into your facility and be filming your operations. They don't have that permission. Just like I don't want my cleaning people coming here at night filming what's going on in my office. I mean, I might have a beer can. Who knows what's going on? But I wouldn't want that. So I can understand the sentiment behind telling this guy you're no longer welcome in our facility. Last story of the day, a Maryland lawmaker was fined and reprimanded during a legislative meeting. She was actually in the operating room. She was actually doing a surgery during her Zoom meeting when she should have been on the, I guess, Howard in Baltimore counties where she represents. They were supposed to be doing a meeting, and instead of missing it, saying, "Look, hey, I got a surgery," she decided to go ahead and do the Zoom while the surgery was going on. I guess maybe she asked the person to, "Look, I'm going to be operating on you, and hope you don't mind. I'm going to be doing this, my civic duty as a legislator at the same time. So while your mouth is open here, while I got you under this anesthesia, I'm going to go ahead and do a little work, boy, anyway, folks, this is the marketing pulpit." Oh boy, Carlita said that is so wrong. Carlita, you're exactly right. That is wrong on so many levels. You can't justify that. I understand you got to get your work done, but you can't be operating on folks and passing bills at the same time. Folks, we're going to take a quick break. Some of you folks out here, you're kind of torn. You say, "Look, I've been putting a little money over here in the market. Got a little money in my house. Got some securities over here, but I want to start a business. So should I just go ahead and keep putting my money on Tesla stock that has gone over $1,200? Has split, had a 5-to-1 split about a year ago, and according to the way things are looking, I mean, things are looking pretty bright. Should I put my money in the stock market, Tesla, Apple, or should I put it in my business, what I can own, pass it down as a legacy?" We're going to talk about that in a minute. And is that the right question? Should there be a different question we should be asking? We're going to talk about that coming up next on the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gateway, your host. You don't want to miss this. Hang on. One of those pivotal aspects of business success, you have to tie it to something, you have to ground it. Because marketing is all about psychology. It's understanding human behavior. Success is not a finite. You have control over what constitutes success. Welcome back to the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gateway, your host. We are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. Go to marketingpulpit.com and follow us on YouTube. Just click on that button on the homepage, and you can subscribe to our channel. And we'll let you know when we put up some new shows. We put up blurbs every now and then. We also put up shows from some of our other affiliate shows like Brothers for Real and a few other shows that broadcast. Also, if you're in the North Carolina area and you want to check out the Candidates Forum that we did back in last week, you can go to that and you can also check that out as well. Got a little noise going on in the background. So hang on 1 second, folks. Hold on. Let me get some of this noise under control. We'll be right back in a second. One of those pivotal aspects of business success, you have to tie it to something, you have to ground it. Because marketing is all about psychology. It's understanding human behavior. Success is not a finite. You have control over what constitutes success. All right, welcome back. Like our noise is still going on. They're doing some construction in the building here. I don't think they realize how loud it is. But anyway, they're way down the hall, but we can hear them in the studio here. We're going to talk about also our sponsor, BLE Executive Suites. I want you to go to their website, blesuites.com. If you need answering services, if you need to have someone to drop off your mail to, receive that delivery package from Amazon, particularly if you're in the DC area, but if you're outside the area and you need that phone answering services or some virtual services to get your business off the ground, then call BLE Executive Suites at 301-322-1700 or go to blesuites.com. Let's talk about our sermon today, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to talk about, we're talking about, put that scenario in front of you. If you have money in the stock market or some other form of equity, should you continue to invest in that, or should you put that money in your business? Now, I'm not going to say I'm not a financial advisor, but there's certain things that are foundational to funding and money that you don't have to be an expert to know. Just like I'm not an attorney, but I can tell you that you should have a will. So there's certain things that I can say, if it were me, this is what I would do. So let's talk about funding for a minute, because when I started my company several years ago, funding was an issue. I didn't have any money to start a business. I mean, I had some money, but I didn't realize until I started digging around that I had money that I didn't know I had. You don't have to have a basket of money somewhere buried out in the yard to have money, because you can get that money from other sources. So first, let's answer that question we asked about earlier. Should I put that money in the stock market or should I put it in my business? Well, first of all, those two are not mutually exclusive. You can actually do both, but you probably should do them in the right order. Let's say if you have that money in the stock market, you can actually do what we call, you can get a margin loan. And a margin loan is that you can leverage that stock, the value of that stock, up to 50% and get a really low interest rate loan. Let's say if you have $20,000 in the stock market, you can actually go to your broker and say, look, I want to take out $10,000 loan against that. And many people don't realize that. They think they have to sell it. They think they have to sit on it, or they have to go get money from a different source. Now, of course, you have to be aware of something called a margin call. And that means if the value of that asset reduces below a certain level, they can either force you to sell off some of additional stock or put some more money in the account so you don't fall below a certain amount. Now, of course, margin loan is one way to get money. So you don't have to sell that stock if you need money to start your business. But there are other ways. You may have other assets that you can use if you're talking about some type of secured loan, like a HELOC, or we call it a home equity line of credit. You can use the equity in your house. Some people, once again, we did a series of workshops with a company a few years ago, and that was really what they focused on, ownership, the value of owning a house and a property. And one of those things that we used to punch very hard is that you don't have to sell that property. You can have any asset. This is what the rich people do. They don't sell their assets. They leverage them. They hang on to the assets and use those assets to get the money they need. The old saying, use other people's money and hang on to your own. So those are two of the ways that we can fund our businesses. And it takes that question into a different direction. Do I have to do I invest in stock, or do I invest in my business? You can actually do both. Let's talk about some other ways to get money for your business. Now, like I say, I've probably done most of the ones on this list because I've had several businesses, and also as a business consultant, I've had to work with companies and individuals and even refer them to financial advisors to help them navigate these waters. One of the oldest ways is bootstrapping. Just use the money from your regular job and put it back into the business. You got another job over here. You're starting your business over here, take that money and just keep funding it in. And that's that was one of the ways also that I used when I was first getting started. I never just quit my job because I decided to start a business. Some people make that rookie mistake. They say, look, the only way I'm going to do this, I've got to cut the apron strings. I'm not sure about that. You got to time it, ladies and gentlemen. You gotta think that thing through. There is a right time to walk away, but it's good if you have that source of revenue that you can funnel into your business. You can get a credit line through corporate credit cards. Now there's corporate credit cards and there's personal credit cards. Corporate credit cards are usually in your company's name, and they have different rules and regulations. Then you have your personal credit cards. Once again, one of my first businesses, which was a payphone business, I financed it through personal credit cards. I had good credit back then before I got into business. Things can change quickly once you become a business owner. But anyway, I had this perfect credit when I got about $20,000 in credit cards. It took about 5 credit cards to do it, but I bought my payphone business, and I use personal credit cards. Now, if you say you're already in business and you're collecting revenues on a regular basis, if you're using PayPal or Square, they have what we call working capital. And usually they base it on some kind of formula based on how much money you collected, and of course how long, if you're paying your bills on time. You can actually do they would actually give you a line of credit. I mean, the day I figured that out, man, I thought I had hit the lottery. PayPal sent me a little note, say, hey buddy, need $3,000. I'm like, me? Man, I was poor as Tom Turkey at the time, but I had regular revenue coming in. So you can look at some of those options, and they'll usually let you know. If not, call them, let them, ask them. You can also get, you can secure a loan through some of your business assets, such as inventory, real estate, equipment. Once again, you don't have to sell it. You can leverage it. The Small Business Administration, they can back a loan for you. Now, of course, there's some paperwork involved in that. A lot of people, they're not just handing out money. And the Small Business Administration is not in the business of giving out money, by the way. They will back the loans of a bank, but they don't personally, the bank, SBA does not give out the money. If you have accounts receivables, some companies got people owing their money up the yin yang, and it's money you know you're going to get. We're not talking about bad debt you're about to write off, but sometimes the terms, a lot of people in government space do this. They may factor. They say, look, I got $50,000 out here on this contract, and I can't wait, man. I might not see that money for 90 days. So they go to a factoring company. And this factoring company, what they'll do, they'll go ahead and front them the money. And then they can use that money right away instead of waiting for those terms. Now, of course, you got to pay for it. One thing about money is not free. But sometimes you got to look at what your goals are. What's the goal? Why do I need this money? Why do I need it now? And sometimes you realize you need that money now, even if you have to pay a little bit more money for it. It all aligns with what your goals of your company and where you are at that particular time in the development of your business. And also, my last one, and like I said, there are other ways. And if you have a financial advisor, I think William says you can crowdsource funding. So there are different ways out here to get this money. But don't let funding be the reason you set on your dreams, because there are creative ways out here to get money. And the last one I'm going to talk about is venture capitalists. These folks, they're like, if you got an idea that's going to just explode and take off, and we call that those scale it and sell it model. But if you have like an idea, a lot of internet companies do this, where they go to a VC or venture capitalist, and they will front them like $200,000, $500,000, and they may do what we call an interest-only loan, where they may do like a 5-year term. At the end of the year, and then that 5-year term, the loan becomes due, and they've made so much money, that's just a piece of cake. So anyway, folks, there are ways out here to make money. No, you don't have to sell your assets necessarily. You can leverage them if you have stocks. And I say this because I know many people that got into the stock market during the pandemic, like myself. And some made some pretty good money. But their businesses are still, they need some cash flow. So like any loan or any type of time you're leveraging your assets, just make sure, talk to somebody who can give you good advice. And there's always some risk. Like I said, we talked about the margin call on the stocks. You don't want to play around with your house if you're doing some kind of shady business. So you want to make sure you're talking to somebody who has experience in those areas. And anytime you're dealing with money or lending, there are some risk involved. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap up the show for today. This is the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. William and Alyssa, Brenda, Bradley, Maddie, Gerald, and all of those who did not comment. I know you're out there because I see the numbers. Thank you again for tuning in. We'll be back next week at the same time here on the Marketing Pulpit TV show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. I am a business developer by trade. You can go to gatewoodmarketing.com and find out more about me. You can also find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on YouTube. And you can find me on Instagram. And thanks again, Brother Thomas, for tuning in. And I will see you this evening. Brother Brown going to help me out here because, you know, if you want to be successful, you got to do these three things. Right on, Mr. Brown. Do it at the right time. Do the right thing. And you got to do it right. Enough talk. As we say, Mr. Brown, what do we say? Let's get to work. People don't understand marketing. You can't stop every time the money runs out. You need to come on and tell people why your service is different. Why is everybody so angry? Airline passengers biting the TSA agents. I mean, it reminds me of one of those zombie. People don't understand marketing. You can't stop every time the money runs out. You need to come on and tell people why your service is different. Why is everybody so angry? Airline passengers biting the TSA agents. I mean, it reminds me of one of those zombie apocalyptic movies. And as a community, collectively, we're going to be taken more seriously if we have that strong economic foundation. Do the right thing, do it at the right time, and you have to do it right. Enough talk, let's get to work.